Welcome! We're going to learn how to use Adobe After Effects 2020. It was just downloaded from the Creative Cloud, and we're going to define first of all how we have our screen defined. Okay, now at your left, where I'm moving my mouse, you're going to find out that we have the project panel. Here is where you're going to import and organize the media assets you're going to use in your project. The panel number 2 is going to be this area where I'm moving, my mouse. Is going to be the composition panel. In this area, you're going to preview your project as you are creating it. And the last one is going to be the one at the bottom. Is called the timeline panel, and it arranges and edits your media assets to create your actual project. Now, you have to consider that panels can be resized. For example, I can make it bigger, smaller. You can undock. For example, like I'm going to select this one and I'm going to place it here. You can move all around, place it to next other. For example, I'm going to move it back and I'm going to change the order. And if you accidentally change your workspace and you want to reset it to its original layout in the application, you just have to go to the top menu, select Window, then Workspace. Then you can reset to your saved layout. In my case, I already have my Brendita's workspace, and that's the one I'm going to use, okay? As I used the software before. Now, remember that After Effects is about creating compositions, combining different audios and visual elements like text, video, and sounds. And then you have the opportunity to make something fun and create different ways, okay? Now, the first step of any After Effects project is to import the media you'll be working with and create a composition. Remember that all the files, you have them just below the video, okay? So let's create a composition. The first option that we're going to do, or the first step, is going to be to go to File, then select Import, and then import the image. In this case, it's going to be File. You have to look up where you have saved it. Now I have it right here in my desktop, and it's After Tutorial 1. Okay. Now I'm going to select this one. I have to be careful here where it says Import As. Please select Composition, and you're going to see why I'm making this decision. Okay. Now you're going to click Open, and you're going to have it right here. Now, this is the logo we're going to be working on, but this same file was made in Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to open Adobe Illustrator so you can find out what are we doing. This is the logo, and as you can see, you have the text and the image, okay? So we have the image that is going to be the logo, and the text that is like a peak, okay? Now I'm going back to After Effects. Now, once I have imported this file of Adobe Illustrator, because you can import photos, you can import vectors, you can import movies and audios, okay? You have to have it really clear. Now, I'm going to double click it here where it says Epic logo and has this shape that is between red, blue, and green. And you're going to find out that you have this in your timeline, okay? Now, look over the composition panel. The composition panel is the one that we have just right here. The logo is displayed on screen. Now look at the timeline panel, and you can find out that here you have one for the logo that is going to be the image, and the other one that is going to be for the text, okay? Now let's add a background video behind the logo to create a more visually interesting composition. How can we do it? The first step we made was File Import, but now I'm going to teach you another way. Double click it here where you have the project panel, and then select the file that has the MP4 extension. This means it's going to be a video, and you're going to click Open, okay? Now, what are we going to do again? Well, we're going to double click it here, and you're going to find it that is already here in your composition. Now, what happened? Okay, now where is the logo? Well, it's at the background. If you want to have an order, a specific order of all the elements that you have in this composition, you're going to select this video, you're going to drag it, and you're going to place it right here at the bottom where you have the timeline. Right now, you're going to see that I have the text, the image, and the video. Okay? Now, please look over the timeline panel right here to the right. You're going to find out that the video has been added and you can see those changes in the composition panel at the top. The summer video now appears behind the APIC logo. When you add files to the timeline panel, you're adding different elements or layers to your composition. Layers are stacked one top of the other to create the different elements of your composition. In this case, the text, the logo, and the background video, okay? You can change how your composition looks based on how you stack and position the layers. So this means that if I hold this one and then release it to the top, the logo is going to disappear. But in this case, what we want is to have the background, the video as a background, okay? So we can change the layers duration. And how are we going to do that? The color bars on the right side of the timeline panel, or the ones that we have just below, represent how long a layer is going to be displayed in a composition. You can change how long a layer is going to be displayed by changing the length of its color bar. Let's make the duration of all of the layers the same. So the first step is to move your cursor to the end of the APIC color bar. You have to select it. I have it right now selected. And drag the bar toward the left until it's the same length as the color bar of the video. Remember that the video one is the green one, okay? Have to hold shift while dragging to align the bars perfectly. So I'm going to press shift and I'm going to move it right here. Now you have to do the same thing and repeat the process with the logo layer, just the one below. And you have to click the layer before doing it. And so you can hold shift. And if you don't do it, you're going to trim. And you don't want to do that, okay? Now I have the three of them with the same length. Now I'm going to change, for example, when a layer appears. Now the position of our layer's color bar starts to represent when it's going to appear in the composition. And you can adjust when a layer first appears by changing the starting point of its color bar. So let's make the APIC layer appear slightly after the two other layers, okay? So I'm going to select this one and I'm going to move it right here. As you can see right now, it's changing and I have this gray space. Now press the spacebar to play the composition from the beginning to preview the change. The APIC text now appears at the 1 second mark in the composition after the logo and the background video have already started playing. Starting from left to right, layers appear in the order their color bars begin. Okay, now I'm going to press again the spacebar. Now, I'm going to prepare layers for animation. Remember that After Effects is all about making things move in fun and creative ways. So let's make the logo fly on screen at the start of the composition, and we'll do it by using animation. To create this animation, we first have to tell After Effects when and from where we want the logo to start moving. Let's have it enter from the bottom of the screen. Do you like it? So, what are we going to do? I'm going to move the cursor to the beginning, okay? This is called the current time indicator to the beginning of the timeline, okay? In the timeline panel, select the logo layer to make it in an active layer. So the logo is this one, okay? In the composition panel, click on the actual logo itself and slowly drag it to the bottom of the screen just until it disappears from view, okay? I'm going to put it right here. Hold shift while dragging to move it into a straight line, okay? This is really important. Now, we're going to set something that is called keyframes. We know how to tell After Effects that we want the layer to start moving at this time and from this position. So how are we going to do it? The first step, expand the logo layer properties by clicking on the arrow. So I'm coming here and I'm going to click it right here. The arrow on the left that is really closer to the name, so I can have all that is called transform settings, okay? I'm going to expand the transform settings and find the position property. The position property is this one. I'm going to click on the small stopwatch, the one that I have right here to the left, and look into the timeline panel. You're going to see that where the time indicator is, you see a little blue diamond right here. This is a small blue diamond. This diamond is going to be called keyframe. By adding keyframe, you just told After Effects that you want to remember the position of the logo. It's going to be off the bottom of the screen at the current time, right? The beginning of the composition. Now, After Effects stores all this information in this keyframe. Now, I want to change a layer over time. So what I'm going to do? Keyframes are important because they play an essential role in creating animation in After Effects. Watch what happens when you move the logo back to the center of the screen and set another keyframe in a different time. Now, in the timeline panel, select the logo layer. You have to have it like this to make it the active layer. Immediately to the right of the position setting, you're going to find out that you have two blue numbers that represent the horizontal and vertical position of the logo in the composition, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to double click right here, or just one click, and you're going to write down 516, and you're going to press enter, and you're going to find out that that in the timeline panel at the position row where the current time indicator is, you're going to see a new keyframe. You see that you have the first one and the second one, okay? Now, if you want to preview the animation, what do you have to do? Well, you can move the current time indicator back to the beginning and press the spacebar to see how After Effects animates the logo using the keyframes you set. You saw the logo fly in from the bottom of the composition panel and stop in the middle after 1 second. And congratulations, you just animated your first logo. By now, I have you a challenge. This is going to be an animation practice because if you don't practice, you're not going to learn. So in this section, you have the opportunity to reinforce your learning by trying a short animation challenge. It's going to be similar to the example that you just saw in the previous steps. And in this case, what I want you to do is to transform the A peak using fading. Now consider one of the options that you have right here where it says transform. Which one do you think is going to help you to fade in and do this transformation? I hope you can do it and solve it, and don't worry if you are not able, but I know that you are going to be, so if you're not able, there's another video explaining it. It's called challenge, okay? Try to do it. I trust on you and I trust that you can do it. See you. Bye and good luck.